All right, Jason, we are officially live.
Hello everyone.
Hello, world. Hi, everyone. Travelers, recruiters, dreamers, whoever you are, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. We've got me, Laura here, the founder of Nomadicare, and also I traveled for 8 years. Just finished my last assignment last year, and now I'm doing Nomadicare full time. So I'm loving. I'm kind of representing the traveler side of the industry. And then Jason, what about you?
I'm Jason Abusamra. I'm the Director of Partnership Development with Wanderly. I'm so excited to be here today to have this discussion with you and explore pay packages and transparency and really kind of show off what we've built and how we're helping the travel nurse industry and the potentially the travel healthcare industry in general.
Yes, I love that. I love this topic today. We are talking all about transparency, kind of like a new standard, which I think all of us can agree, whether you're a recruiter, own a company, a traveler, all the different gray areas that this industry has can bring on some anxiety, some stressfulness, not knowing the right questions to ask or where money should go. So we get to talk about a new standard that Wonderly is bringing to pay package world, transparency, and then just this concept of pay. I cannot tell you how many emails and Facebook messages I've gotten of people's contracts of their pay, and they're just like, I don't know. Like, I'm looking at this. I want the job. I have no clue which line to look at, what a red flag is. Am I supposed to ask for more money? And it is really confusing. And so this webinar is going to go through these pay breakdowns pretty line by line, different things to look for, watch out for, things to love. So we are both really excited to bring this to you because I think with Nomadicare, with Wanderly, we're both on a similar mission of helping improve this industry for everyone, improve it as what I like to say, win-win. I don't know if you guys say that concept as well, but the win-win, fair pay, fair communication. So this is going to be great. Love teaming up with you, Jason.
Yeah, we're definitely on the same page. It's we're trying to build a situation that empowers the travel nurse by giving them information and allows them to kind of make a decision, but also the recruiter will be able to interact and potentially place travel a candidate. So that's the idea, is to help facilitate these connections, make people feel comfortable and kind of get rid of some of those pain points, address them that we've kind of discovered along the way. So I'm excited to be here to talk about it.
Great. Okay, so getting started, Wanderly is a bit newer in the industry. We're excited about you guys. When did you start? When did Wanderly officially start?
So Wanderly began, we've been working on it for over a year, but we launched at TravCon, September 10th, I believe. That was the first time that any nurse had ever seen it. Well, yeah, that's true. Anybody had ever actually seen it because we were working to build it. We did some research, probably interviewed 100 travel nurses and recruiters, before in our research and development. But the first time that we launched the website so that people could actually see it was at TravCon.
Wow, that is great. And for those of you watching who have never heard of TravCon, it's officially called Travelers Conference. You can go to travelersconference.com to check it out. But this is the biggest conference for all four healthcare travelers, created by healthcare travelers. So we had close to 1,500 travelers come this last year. It's always in Vegas, usually around September. This year, 2018, it's the 9th through the 11th, but it is a blast. Mm-hmm. I think I forgot you guys launched it at TravCon. If you were there last year, you'll remember their big mascot, the big pineapple, yep, which you can see in the background with Jason right now. People loved it. But it's where you can get CEUs, and then exhibitors are there like Wanderly and like Nomadicare, so you can like talk to different booths. But anyway, just side note, because not everyone knows what TravCon is. But okay, so Wanderly, and you can tell me where I'm missing something here, but Wanderly is a cool way for travelers to get online, compare pay packages anonymously, and even chat with companies and recruiters anonymously talking about that pay package, that job. And only if after the anonymous chat they want to submit, they can submit through Wanderly because you already have a place to hold the credentials. Is that correct?
Yeah, so a traveler can go in, build a profile with it has a universal application that's pretty standard, similar to anything that you would fill out with an agency. You can load all of your credentials, your license, your certifications, and you can build a skills checklist within Wanderly. You can search jobs, and when you look at the jobs, and we'll go through this, but they show the detailed pay package. And so you can compare them with, just to get an idea of if they're fair, if they make sense, but they go line by line, break it down in a really concise but easy to understand and uniform way. So it's easy to compare. And then if you have questions, you can chat with the recruiter directly, and you don't even need to reveal your identity when you're chatting until you want to. So what's the best part is, as a traveler, you control your identity, your profile, your contact information even, until you choose to share it with only the person that you choose to share it with. And that's what is really great. So you have the power as a traveler to kind of search for the jobs and get the information, but it's on your terms.
Cool. Love that. All right. Is it okay if I ask you just a few kind of like lightning round questions that I bet are what the people watching want to know?
Absolutely.
Who is it right now? We're in February 2018. Who is it right now that can actually go on today and be able to compare jobs and use this platform?
So currently it's travel nurses, and specifically travel RNs and all specialties. But so travel nurses for the entire United States. So you can go in,
awesome.
There's jobs, and you can build your profile.
Great. Okay, nurses can go there right now, wanderly.us, and check it out. But then, of course, the burning next question is, are you planning on adding therapy, radiology, allied at some point to Wanderly, or is it going to stay nurse focused?
We're planning to add allied, and we're working on it. It's on our list, and it's a priority, but it's going to be probably a few more months until it's ready to launch. But we'll make a big deal and make sure everybody hears about it once it happens.
Yay, we can't wait. All right, so let's say for now, you lucky nurses that can use it today, what do they have to do to actually get on that website and start looking at real pay package breakdowns? Do they have to go ahead and give you all their resumes and an email address? Like, how can they really just get started using this cool system? Great
question. So you can go on it today, search without even logging in, and you can see the pay packages, the full details, all the benefits, all the different agencies that are recruiting, however, or that are working with Wanderly. But we recommend that you sign in, you build a profile, you can load your documents, but the reason why we recommend signing in is because then you can use the anonymous chat functions. You can, chat with the recruiter, ask them questions, and when you're ready, and if it's a job that you like, you can submit your profile super fast. That way you can get submitted quickly and have a better chance to get the job that you want.
Love it. Okay, so then the question a lot of us want to know, because there are these websites out there that we know of. Actually, newer travelers might not even know of these lead generation websites where you put in your name, your email address, your phone number, and oopsie, after you click submit, now all of a sudden 10 agencies have your information and you're getting called like crazy. Do you guys sell any of this information? Do you have affiliates that suddenly get this information if we were to set up a user with you?
That's a great question, and we do not sell your information. What's unique about Wanderly is you, as a traveler, are 100% in control of your profile. It's similar to a safety deposit box. Like you put your documents in the safety deposit box, and you have the key to it, and you're the only one that has a key to it. Now, if you wanted to share it with somebody, you can, but it only goes to the person that you share it with when you share it with them. So it's not a situation where agency comes into the picture and they say, hey, we'd like to have access to, or search through all your database and, pick the people that we want to work with. It's nurse-centric. It's initiated by the healthcare traveler, that communication and sending of the profile.
Okay, awesome. All right, last question that I want to know about is about the little guys you have behind you. How did you come up with your adorable mascot? I think Wanda, right? Wanda the pineapple.
Yeah.
What's the story with this Wanda? I love it.
So Wanda, the Wanderly pineapple. Pineapple is an international symbol of hospitality. We wanted to, bring something different, unique, something that felt fun and reminds you of good experiences maybe that you've had traveling. A lot of people think about tropical vacations and things like that. So we wanted to invoke these kind of feelings of, positive travel and adventure and things like that. So, and also just something different. Everybody's got like normal blue, red colors. We wanted something different.
Right. Yeah, I love it. I love Wanda's little like eyes and smile too. Whoever created those. And their hair, it's like, it could be straight out of like a Pixar movie or something. It's so cute. I can't wait to get mine. Jason's sending me one.
Yep,
Maybe if you're nice, he'll send you one someday too. But I can't wait to get my little Wanda. Awesome. All right.
Any other questions for me?
No, I think that's great because I want, we'll talk for 1 second about Nomadicare because I know there'll be people on here that haven't heard of Nomadicare yet. Just quickly, and then I really want to dive deep into pay packages and get into this breakdown for people. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Laura. I was a traveler for a long time, and I started Nomadicare about 3 years ago. Started as a side project. Now so grateful it's become full time because I love impacting this industry. And it started because I wanted an easier way for travelers to be able to connect with recruiters who are running their desk with integrity, who are doing things right. So just like Jason wanted to create a standard for how pay could be broken down so we can understand it better, I wanted a standard for what it meant for a recruiter to run their desk with integrity. But you'll hear a lot of it does have to do with how they break down pay for us, how they work with us, how they show up. But I had quite a wonderful experience with the recruiter when I first started traveling, quite an opposite experience after, and realized, wow, this person influences so much of our journey. And I liked it when I could travel, just think about the coffee shops I wanted to go to and not constantly be thinking, what is it I don't know? Should I have asked them for another dollar? Or am I getting taken advantage of? Am I supposed to do it this way? Because it was so much more fun traveling without that anxiety of, am I getting everything I'm supposed to get? So I learned so much about this industry. And now I have Nomadicare where people can come and get matched with recruiters who passed my interview, and they are incredible recruiters. So I am delighted to help them succeed and help travelers succeed as well.
Awesome. Well, I've got a bunch of questions. Well, just a few that I'd like to ask you as well.
Okay, cool.
So tell me about the specialties that you're working with currently and that you're matching folks to recruiters.
Yeah, totally. So we do therapy, which is occupational therapy, speech therapy, physical therapy, as well as the assistants, the CODAs and the PTAs. We do nursing, all specialties of nursing. And then the last few months, we've added radiology, which we're really excited about. Those are our 3 pillars of travelers that can get matched with awesome recruiters through us.
That's awesome. Awesome. So how do you pick the companies that you work with?
Yeah, so Nomadicare is based on the idea that we do not promote any companies as a whole. The way it actually works when you get inside of a company is recruiters are a bit like little entrepreneurs that run their desk kind of their way. They're all in different levels of learning the industry, learning how to organize and hustle at their desk, or getting promoted and being leaders and quite busy with a full desk. So we do it based on recruiter, individual, versus saying this company is great and this one's not great. There are great recruiters and there are not great recruiters in every company. And so even though I don't promote companies as a whole, what we do find out from each company is the benefits they offer and the direct contracts they have where they can place you more easily. So if you do come through Nomadicare, you can say, I need first day medical, or I want to get paid more if I don't take their medical insurance because I have my own, or I really am into 401ks right now. I want free access to CEUs. We know which companies have each of these things, as well as saying, I want to go to Florida, and we can look and say, that one has a direct contract from Florida. So that's where the company comes in. And then the recruiters within that company have to pass our interview. And that looks at the knowledge they have, how organized they are, the hustle. Do they know how to work with VMSs to get you to the top of resume stacks? And then a lot of how they break down pay. Are they doing that honestly? Are you having to ask and nickel and dime them? Or are they just giving you things because it's fair automatically? Those type of things are what we look for in recruiters.
Wow, that's great. So do some recruiters get rejected in the process?
Yes, about half of them do not make it through the interview. We have a written interview portion at first, and then if they get past that, the phone interview portion. So yeah, about 50% pass rate is what it's at right now.
Wow, that's got to be quite a process for them to go through.
It is. And I'm always grateful when they try, and at least they get good feedback if they're not quite ready. But yeah, we do take it very seriously, and we follow up with the travelers too. Now we have a cool texting line. We'll talk with them, send them resources when they're getting stuck, but also just ask them how the recruiters are doing. In real life, that matters way more than the interview. So that's how we know the recruiters stay on the list that are continuing to live this out versus just interviewing them and then never touching base again. So the list always stays very current.
So what's the cost for the traveler to use Nomadicare?
It is completely free for the traveler. It's based on a win-win-win business model. So the traveler has to win because they get a recruiter and company that really has a job they need and they like that connection. So they have to get placed in the job. The company wins next because they're going to make their profit. Of course, they make profits when the traveler is working. And then I make it just based on the standard in the industry of referral bonus. And I also make sure with the company that referral bonus will not impact the traveler's pot of money, which we'll learn more about through this, like the different things that it can impact the traveler's pot. It has to come out of a marketing budget, which impacts the company's margins and not the travelers. We make them sign off on that. So it really is free for the traveler.
That's great. So what about you with Nomadicare and for the travelers that give you their information? What do you do with that information? Does that ever get sold?
Oh, no way. Definitely, I've been a victim of one of the lead generation sites. Gosh, it is not fun having nonstop calls when you were not expecting it, you didn't want it. There is no way I will ever sell these people's information. The most they get is 2 matches at the beginning with 2 different companies that have what they need. And then if they request it, I'll give them another match. But it's always about what they're asking for. I will never, ever sell anyone's information either. Big deal.
Great.
Yeah.
Good. I love how we're aligned on that.
I do too. I think we're so aligned. It's really great. All right. So shall we dive into pay packages?
Yeah.
Are you ready for this? All right. So before we get started, the first thing we want to do is just make sure we're all on the same page about pay in general and how pay works in this industry. So when you get hired by a hospital, and the hospital you go through a middleman, right? You're the traveler, you go through this recruiter company and the middleman. The hospital is paying this recruitment company a certain amount of money per hour that you work in order to get you there. In the industry, we call that the bill rate. The bill rate is what the recruitment company is billing the hospital or facility for you to work. Now that bill rate is going to be one number. The company first is going to take that, I call it the whole pot of coffee, because for those of you that follow me know I love my coffee analogies. They're going to pour that from that whole pot of coffee into their coffee cup, the agency, what they need to run their business and their profit margins. Now we have another cup of coffee that is ours as the traveler. So they're going to take what's left over and pour it into our cup of coffee, and that's our pay rate. And what we're going to talk about mostly today is that cup, the different ways our pay rate can look, because rather than it being just one cup where you just get to see a number and you can see what that whole coffee is, we actually get paid quite different because of the way we travel, because of reimbursements and tax-free money. All of this is part of our pay. So it goes into multiple different cups that all added together is our pay. And so we want to talk about those different cups and what to look for when you see the pay breakdown today. And the first thing I'd love for us to talk about is a hot topic that's going on right now, Jason. And it's all about the bill rates, that number that the hospital is giving the recruitment agency. Historically, us as travelers do not get to know that number. We just get to see whatever they tell us within our pot of money. And we have no clue if that number is 100, if it's $60 an hour, no idea. And so there's this thing in the industry where some companies are starting to share the bill rate, and some companies are saying we are not allowed to because of proprietary reasons. Some travelers want it, some travelers don't care. I'd love to get your opinion, Jason, on what you think this momentum, this direction of the industry that we're going in. Should we be able to see the bill rates as travelers?
I'm not entirely opposed to it, but I think it's really confusing, or at least it can be confusing. And that's my big concern. I don't think that every recruiter is confident enough to explain exactly what the, not just what the bill rate is, but where the bill rate is going and how to break down their overhead and, some of the different, I guess, line items that they have to, as a company, deal with. So what I think that it's important to know is the pay package that is being quoted competitive, because most everybody has the same pay rate, bill rates. So in terms of these, a lot of the travel opportunities out there, lots of companies are working on the same jobs and they have the same bill rates. So they're building the best pay packages, or the pay package that they think are going to be the most attractive, that, are within their, I guess, guidelines and meet the expectations from their companies. So you can compare, if you have that information, then you can take a look at it and see, is this something that's I'm comfortable with? Is it fair? Does it seem fair? And kind of go from there. But the bill rate, going back to that, I think it can be confusing because it's sometimes twice the number, twice as high, or 40% higher than what the pay package is. So that can be confusing because you see this giant number and you're saying, hey, why don't I just get that whole thing? Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, it doesn't necessarily work like that. So
yeah.
What do you think about it?
I agree with you. I think when I first was getting started, the first time I ever saw a bill rate and the number, I was shocked in a way that I thought, this is so unfair. Why am I getting paid what I'm getting paid? And as I learned more and more, and took a lot of time to figure out the different components that goes into what they're taking out before we get it, it started making sense to me. But it took my own education and really being proactive to figure that out. So I understand why companies would be like, it's going to be a mess. Like there are going to be so many new travelers at any given point that are not doing things like coming to this webinar, are not really proactive in their own learning, that will just get offended. And it's just going to be so much time explaining this concept to people. And so I do understand that, because I definitely went through that stage in my own journey of thinking, oh, that's ridiculous, to realizing, oh, wow, it costs a lot to run a recruitment company. I had no idea. So I understand that concept. I also understand, of course, the traveler side, especially the empowered and proactive travelers who do get it, who want to just be paid what's fair and like that just open transparency, because they're like, I get bill rates, tell me what it is, let's work with this number together. But then at the end of the day, what we're going to be teaching you, what I teach all the time, is about this concept of working with more than one company, comparing pay, doing your research on what a normal range is for an area, so you are unable to get taken advantage of, because you're doing those few steps of research. Even if companies started sharing their bill rates, there's still the same risk of that recruiter, individual recruiter, not being a recruiter of integrity and lying to you about that number anyway. So maybe on their screen, they see it's $90 an hour, and you ask them what the bill rate is and they tell you 72. You still have no real way of verifying anything that's true, whether it's your pay rate or the bill rate. So at the end of the day, it does come to learning the skills of comparing and reading pay packages better and knowing where numbers could or could not be, and red flags, which is what we'll teach you today. That's how you're actually going to be a savvy traveler. It's not going to be because you know a number or don't know a number. So I don't think it matters at the end of the day. And I don't really care if it goes that way or it doesn't go that way personally.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Awesome.
Well,
all right. Love that. So So from the bill rate, guys, now we get to look into our pot of coffee, and we're going to take a peek at Wonderly's interface, actually, because Wonderly does a really great job at showing how a really clean, beautiful breakdown of pay could look. And so I'm going to have Jason share that screen so we can look at where our money goes in general.
All right. So this is our homepage. And for those of you that haven't been to wanderly.us, I encourage you to check it out. So we've designed the page to feel like a travel site, like you're going to, I guess, plan a vacation versus your next travel assignment. But it's 100% dedicated to healthcare travelers. So it really is designed to plan your next travel assignment, although it does have kind of a fun look and feel to it. So this, we've got some of the some of the agencies that we're working with. We've included their logos onto the page, really to demonstrate that we are a neutral platform where, you know, essentially all companies can go and post detailed pay packages for the travel professional to come and review and compare. And so just kind of scrolling down the page, you know, you can come here to compare pay packages, you can stay anonymous, and you can chat with recruiters. And when you apply, you know, you build your profile within the site, you can create and securely store your profile, and then you can easily share it quickly. Hold on, I'm gonna mute it for a second.
Yeah, puppies, they're so cute. Oh, it's such a beautiful interface too.
I think that the mailman's coming.
Is it? Okay. If you want to go into the screen of a pay package, I can start showing them that too, and you can scroll until they stop marking. We can improvise. Cool. So you went to searching the jobs.
So yeah, so this is I'm just going to run a quick search to show you the power. I'm going to look for oncology jobs in California. And there's other criteria that you can search. So here, what's neat is the system recognizes when there's more than one company that's recruiting for the same position. So I'll select this card. And what you have is USSI and KPG are both recruiting for the same position. So you can scroll, look at full details, and then you can go to this card and go to full details. And then you can kind of compare, and it breaks down the pay like you were discussing. So this is an RN position, night shift, beginning February 26th. It's 13-week contract. It's a 458-bed facility. And then here with the pay package summary, it goes through the details of taxable income and the tax-free income. So you have, they're paying $20 an hour taxable, and the stipends are $840 per week for housing and $280 for meals and incidentals. Now, if you can go and compare it to this pay package where they're paying $18 an hour and their stipends are a little bit higher. They're paying $805 an hour, per week stipend. Now the GSA schedules are built right in here, so you know what the maximum per diem allowable is. So that's what these blue numbers are here. And also our system doesn't allow recruiters to offer less than $18 per hour for RN travel positions. And the reason for that is we're trying to protect the traveler and avoid people paying minimum wage and, you know, maxing out the tax-free, because it puts risk on the travel professional from an IRS standpoint. And then when you scroll down the pay package page, You can look at the other line items perhaps that they offer on their benefits. In terms of the pay package, this one, they offer a travel allowance of $500, and they're paying an extra shift bonus or extra shift pay of $55. And the idea here is that, when you work over and above the 3 12-hour shifts, that you'll be paid $55 an hour for the additional shift. Because otherwise you would be paid $21 an hour, because that's what's taxable. That's what you get paid overtime on. So some companies will pay you a different rate for the additional shift, because your tax-free stipend is only paid out on the contracted hours that you signed up for. So in this case, 36 hours. So it only pays you out this amount on that 36 hours, then it stops. So what you want to do is make sure that you're being paid fairly if you work additional hours. So in this case, what they've done is they're paying you the full $55 an hour for that extra shift. And so you go through and you can look at all the different benefits that the agency has available so that you're informed, and there's additional information that's they can provide, and then information about the company. Now, if you had some more questions, but you're not quite ready to give them your name and phone number, you can use this anonymous chat function and start. And it looks very similar to Facebook chat or something like that, but it's extremely secure and it's anonymous. So they know you're a nurse. They know what position that you're communicating with them about, but they don't know your name. They don't know your phone number until you reveal it to them. And if you're ready to apply to the job and you've built your profile within the system, you can hit apply now, and they will get your full profile, everything that they need to get you submitted to the hospital or to the VMS, so that you can be considered for that position right away. So just kind of give you a look at this pay package, and then scrolling down, you can see they have a travel allowance of $150. They've got a completion bonus of $150. They've got a small sign-on bonus of $1, and a referral bonus of $500, a loyalty bonus of $1, and the extra shift pay, they're paying $54.41, which is good because it's aligned with it. It looks like a lot of companies are choosing to pay you fairly in terms of if you work an additional shift. So that's how our system allows it to be communicated. And so you can go through and kind of review all of the different benefits that they offer. You can look at the job description, all the information, and all the agency information. And again, if you want to chat with them, maybe ask them some questions about the position and all of that, you could. All right.
So beautiful. Okay. So really standardized, which is one good thing because you're able to really compare between pay packages when something is standardized. One thing that's interesting that I want to bring light to is these are two same jobs, and you'll see it on Wonderly. You'll see when you talk between different companies, however you do it, that the same job will pay differently from each other, even though the bill rate is the same. And sometimes you'll even see on Wonderly or with one recruiter, like literally they could put a job up for one amount, and then you'll see them put the same exact job up for a slightly different amount a few days later. And you're like, wait, why does this change so much? And so I think the thing for you to remember with this is that these pay packages are so flexible, and every company and every recruiter is trying to find their advantage. Like, do I put more in stipends to make the weekly amount be more so people are more attractive? Do I put more in our travel reimbursements from point A to point B, which is still part of our pot of money, but it makes our weekly a little bit less? There's also the concept that recruiters on most companies have a lot of their own room to move the pay packages around at their own desk, their desk of running the travelers they're working with. And so the company might say, you just cannot go below a 20% profit margin. If you drop below that, we can't run our company well. So just try to stay between 20 and 25% profit margin. And so now they actually have quite a bit of room to play with in a profit margin to give us a little bit more, which they might be more enticed to do if they know we're working with one other company, or they know we're someone that does a lot of homework. They might give us a much more competitive pay package versus someone who they know isn't looking at anything and will just take anything. They might go more towards the 25% profit margin because their boss, their company will be a bit happier about that. So there's this range of kind of like almost like a different cup of coffee in between our two. That's like our negotiation cup of coffee that could kind of go either way. But that's why it's really not black and white when it's the same bill rate, same job. Sometimes even the same recruiter can change the pay slightly from week to week trying to get someone in it. There's also a supply and demand factor. If it's a place that a ton of people are submitting to, then they probably need to submit at a rate that's a bit lower to make you more attractive. If it's a place that a traveler just cannot get into, they might be willing to pay you more to get you in there. So there's a lot of factors, and it's also why pay is so confusing. So with this, you got to see an incredible breakdown of pay. What we'll do is try to talk to you about each line of these so you can see when you're looking at your own pay, which might not always be broken down that beautifully, what to look for and what to ask for to make sure you're seeing everything you can. So starting out, when you get an amount of pay from a company, there's typically two ways you'll see it. One way, the company is paying you their gross pay. And what that means is that they're not taking taxes out of it at all. So as you could see in Wonderly's breakdown, there's a portion of our pay that is taxable. Typically, the average in the company is $18 and up. To 18 to 22 is probably pretty average right now for the taxable amount. And then we've got these reimbursements that we're getting tax-free money because we are maintaining a tax home. So we get tax-free money and we get taxable money. The gross would be them adding this up and not taking any taxes out. So what we'll actually get every Friday to get paid will be less than that. So that's where you could go somewhere like Paycheck Calculator and figure out, based on what your deductions are for your taxes, pretty close to what you will actually get. The company's not doing it for you. Other companies will then just guess, and they might put you at like a 25% taxable range or something like that. And then they'll give you the net. So what they're doing is trying to get you what looks closer to what you'll literally take home in your paycheck after taxes each week. But it can't be exact because, of course, they're not you. They don't know exactly what your taxes will be. So you have to know this is an estimate, and the gross, you could actually go in and figure out more exactly what you will get based on what you need. So just knowing, though, which one they're giving you is important all in of itself, because if you think the gross is the net, you'll be disappointed come payday. And then Jason, I know you guys decided as a standardized method to have them write it down in gross, which is great. Is there anything else you want to say about this topic in general, though?
Well, I was just going to say I think in terms of comparing apples to apples, it's important to look at the gross because it's uniform. It's something that is not going to change in terms of what you select in terms of your deductions on your W-4. And, when people calculate a percentage and they say, okay, well, I'm just going to, quote you at 22%. The problem with that is that taxes aren't necessarily uniformly deducted. So, if you get paid more money, then it's almost like a sliding scale. The more money that you earn, then the lot higher the percentage that is being deducted out of your paycheck. So I just think that for good practice, I would recommend getting the gross amount. And if you're really curious about estimate, then go find the paycheck calculator online. You can Google it, but there's all different resources out there. So it's going to ask you if you get paid weekly or biweekly. It's going to ask you what your deductions are, what state you're working in, and what your gross amount that you're being taxed from, and then it'll shoot out what the net amount will be. Then from there, you add the tax-free stipend on top of that, and that'll give you your total, net per week.
Awesome. Great. Okay, so gross or net, they're adding up the taxable and the reimbursements typically, especially the meals and incidentals and the housing, not necessarily the travel from point A to point B. So when we talk about the taxable rate, something Wanderly did to standardize this was that companies are not allowed to go below $18 an hour. Historically, companies used to do this a lot more than they do today, where even as like an OT or an RN, you might be getting paid minimum wage, right? Like $7 an hour, $11 an hour, something very low. And they would do that and then put a ton more money into our tax-free stipends. This benefits both of us as far as dollars go, because of course, the more money that's not taxed, the more money we make. And then on the flip side, as a company, the less money that they are giving us that's taxable, they don't have to pay the company side taxes on that too. So while it felt like a win-win, where it was not a win-win is that it's not the most ethical way to be paid, because what the IRS says, and I say this not being a CPA or an expert, but just telling you the basics for educational purposes, they say we're supposed to still make somewhere close to what we would make if we were really working this job. And the reimbursements are meant to be truly reimbursements to help us with our duplicating of expenses, our traveling away from home as if we're on a business trip. It's not supposed to replace our pay. That's why on your W-2 subs, if you're trying to get a loan or something like that, they're not taking your stipends as well and saying this is what you get paid. They're just looking at that taxable hourly rate and saying this is your pay and this is reimbursements, which is supposed to be kind of canceled out because you're duplicating expenses. So when companies, and you can talk about why you guys decided this too, Jason, but from what I understand, when companies go too low on the taxable rate, it may be a red flag for that company that they could get triggered to get pulled into an audit, because IRS is going to be like, sounds like you're escaping taxes you should be paying. And then sometimes travelers could get dragged into that audit with them for proof. So we may become more likely to be audited, which is not fun. Lots of paperwork. They can audit us up to 7 years back. And we have to be able to prove our tax home to not have to pay penalties and taxes ourselves. So it seems like just staying safer, having a standard that's more average, which could be around 18 an hour, was your thought process with that, which I love that you have a standard for that.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah. So we tried to create a standard. You know, it's part of our screening process, similar to how you're screening recruiters, and you will turn away certain recruiters that don't meet the threshold of standards that you've developed. One of our standards is that that the agencies we work with pay a minimum of $18 an hour taxable. And most companies are paying, I'd say, 20 to 22 at a minimum. But it's really, the idea is, like you said, there's like a prevailing wage minimums that people need to pay. Otherwise, the IRS, it raises eyebrows with them. There's a lot of implications and potential risk for both the traveler and the agency. And so we're trying to protect both the traveler and the agency. And if companies aren't willing to work in that way, then they're probably not the right company to work with us, and you're not going to find their pay packages on Wonderly, unfortunately. So you could have to find them somewhere else.
Nice. I think that's really great. All right. So then taxable, great. 18 to 22, you guys can feel good about that. I will say there's some people that will get paid less than that. I can see it in CODAs, PTAs, the assistant roles, LPNs, and that's more normal. So we're talking about for Wonderly, the nurses,
travel nurses, yep.
And therapists who are looking at their own pay breakdowns on their own. 18 to 22 is very common for PTOT speech, and then radiology as well. You want to stay in that safe zone. So then you'll drop down to the next item in your pay package, and that's going to be our weekly reimbursements. Typically, they are given to us by week and not by hour. Wonderly was great and already did that calculation for us. And they already put, by bringing in information from another website called gsa.gov, what the maximum is. But this might be a new concept to you guys. Reimbursements and gsa.gov and a maximum and a minimum. So Jason, do you want to dive into this in general? Like, what is gsa.gov? How did recruiters come up with a number to give us for reimbursements?
Okay, yeah. So these travel reimbursements or tax-free stipends, they make I'd say the pay packages for travelers incredibly more complicated than if you were to be hired and working as a full-time employee locally. So the idea is that you get reimbursed for specific work-related expenses. When you leave your home and you go a minimum of 75 to 100 miles away from your house and in order to work, then you're eligible to receive, tax-free money to pay for these certain expenses. And it's broken down into two categories that the federal government creates. This GSA is the General Services Agency, and they've published these guidelines. These guidelines are both for location and seasonality. So there's the two criteria that it's a giant table that depending on the date and where you're going, you'll get the housing and the meals and incidental maximums. Now these numbers are the maximum that they recommend. So I'd say if they're paying you above what's on the GSA maximum, then that's a red flag. You may find yourself in trouble with the IRS. A lot of companies try to stay away from the maximum because it is kind of, you're getting close to the line there. So we like to give you that information up front with Wanderly, that you'll know what the maximum is and you'll be able to see what the agency's offering on that specific pay package. And it's just information. It's good to know this when you're considering your opportunities and kind of comparing.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. And the reason that we don't want to go over the maximum, travelers, is if they go over the maximum, that's when the IRS says, oh, if you're spending that much money after we've already evaluated cost of living, they're a little bit skeptical. So they are going to then want us to save our receipts for all of this to prove we're actually spending that amount. They go under the maximum. It's awesome because we don't have to save receipts, which is nice, and we get that money without saving receipts. So that's why that's very important. And just to reiterate from a traveler's perspective, I get emails a lot from travelers that say, my company didn't hit my maximum. That's unethical. That's not fair. I'm entitled to this amount per GSA. I deserve this amount. I'm supposed to be getting this amount. And that's not true at all. A maximum literally is just that. It's the maximum they're allowed to give us. And it actually doesn't look amazing for them to always max out the maximum. I'm sure people would be skeptical if they always did that. But regardless, it's not something we're entitled to. And sometimes they literally cannot hit that maximum because, remember, it all comes from the bill rate. The recruiter poured out the coffee into their cup to run their business. And what's left over is many times not enough to top up that stipend all the way to the top. So just keep that in mind. It's always the same amount of money they get to work with. And that stipend amount comes from the original bill rate. If the bill rate's really high, maybe they can max it out. Sweet. But if it's not, they might not be able to. And that doesn't mean that they're being unethical. Anything else to add to that, Jason? Good to go? Okay. All right. You might be on mute. I don't know. Did your dog start barking again?
Oh, sorry, I muted it. I said, I think you nailed it.
Okay. I think I nailed it. Okay.
Yeah, good to go. Sorry.
Awesome.
I was on mute.
Awesome. Okay, so those were weekly reimbursements. Now there's this next column that we might get to, which is sometimes companies will reimburse us things as a one-off, one time, one amount for the whole entire 13 weeks. Some companies will give us that one amount all on our first paycheck. I know there's some jobs I worked that I could not wait for that first paycheck because it's so big, because you get your travel reimbursement, your license reimbursement, and your first week's pay. But then some companies will pay you half of it on the first paycheck and half of it on the last to reduce their risk in case you bounce and walk out of that contract. They don't want to lose all that money because, remember, they're making that money back incrementally as you work hours, because they make zero unless you work. So if you bounced out of there 2 weeks in and you were one of those travelers, they just lost a lot more money on you. So that's why sometimes companies will do first and last, and some companies will just give it to you all up front. Regardless, these are one-time reimbursements. anything you want to talk about for this, Jason? And you usually see it in two places the most: travel from point A to point B. And maybe you can talk about, if you know, how they come up with that number. And then license reimbursement. If you got licensed, let's say in California for the first time, and it has not been reimbursed by another company yet, they could reimburse you for that license.
Yeah. I think that what I'd like to say is that communication is important. And when you start to understand all these different, I guess, line items within your potential pay package, which now we're talking about, travel from point A to point B or licensure reimbursement. Now, these are two items that I'd say you want to know if this is important to you. And if it is, then be sure to that it's in the pay package that you're looking at. And if it's not, I recommend having dialogue with the recruiter, because if it's a recruiter that you're comfortable with, everything else looks good, tell them that it's really important for you to have travel allowance, or that you need your licensure reimbursement built into the pay package. Or if you don't want that, tell them that you don't want it. But I think communication's key, and these recruiters have a lot of leeway to kind of rebuild these pay packages to suit your needs. So if you find someone that you really like and you see the pay package they offer you, talk to them about it, and I'm sure that they'll make it work to what you need. And I think that Nomadicare, you probably encourage your folks to talk to the recruiters and have those kinds of conversations, right?
Yes, absolutely. As early as possible. It's usually our disappointments this is like life too, right? Our disappointments are usually because of poor expectations, whether it's relationships, the job you're going to. Many times it's our expectations that lead us to disappointment. So communication, hands down, is key for this industry, just like anything else. But more, I think, in this industry because of how many balls we juggle in the air, how many things change every 13 weeks. Our housing, our pay packages, sometimes our whole company, if another company can't find us a job. So communication, knowing what questions to ask and what answers to listen for are big.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
I was just going to say, with Wonderly, it's the same thing. If you see a pay package that looks really good, and maybe you don't need the $500 travel allowance, and you see the pay package and you can use the anonymous chat function. You can send a message to the recruiter and say, hey, I love this pay package. I'm interested in this position. However, I don't need the travel allowance. Can you rework the pay package so that the travel allowance is built into the pay, and you're maxing out maybe my tax-free stipend, or put it into my hourly rate, or present it to me in a different way. It's kind of just using that the communication, the dialogue to work through that and find something that works best for you.
Yeah, I say it like knowing how you like your coffee, since I do the coffee analogies, and knowing, they could put cream in it, which could be the travel, or you could say, I don't like cream, you want it all black, it's all the stipends. So just knowing how you like it, you're right. Companies typically will work with you. They want you to work for them, and they do have some power of moving it around. Now, the tax laws did change for 2018. As travelers, we no longer are able to deduct our own travel expenses. We're unable to deduct CEUs anymore. Anything that was like travel related, work expenses related, we don't have the right to deduct it anymore with the new tax law. So it is nice, actually, if the company will deduct this, will pay us some of this, especially if the stipends are already maxed out. Otherwise, it's tax-free. Go either way you get it. It's just getting it up front or on your weekly. But if the stipends are maxed out, like, definitely don't take a bonus or something like that. You want these reimbursements. You can't write them off on your taxes anymore. So if it's a high bill rate, the more the company can give you travel from point A to point B, scrub reimbursement, CEU reimbursement, things where they can keep your money as untaxed. That's good, because we no longer can write that stuff off. So that's good to know. All right. I love this topic. I love that you have this laid out in Wonderly. Overtime and extra time. Now, first I'll just explain what these are, and then Jason, you can kind of explain why you have people laid out the way you do in Wonderly and the differences. But overtime is something that could be different depending on which state you're working in. And overtime is something the state tells the companies what they have to, at a minimum, pay us legally. So for California, if you work over 8 hours in one day, you kick into overtime. State tells them you have to. If you work over 40 hours a week, most states will be like this, if not all of them, you kick into overtime and you have to be paid at least a minimum of 1.5. Now, overtime for us, like that's great for almost every industry. For us, remember, what we make per hour legally is just the taxable rate. So if we're getting $20 an hour taxable, and they give us 1.5, we're now making $30 an hour overtime rate for that pay. If that's where they stop, we will actually get a sharp pay decrease per hour that we're working, because we're no longer getting stipend reimbursement, any of that money that's stopped at the end of our contract, unless we've negotiated a different rate for our overtime rate. The company will still be getting paid per hour that we're working. They don't stop getting paid what they use to pay for our stipends. So the hospital's still paying them at least the bill rate, and many times more than the bill rate. Many times they will have negotiated with the hospital. If you work overtime, they get 1.5 of the bill rate number. So at the very minimum, they're getting the same bill rate, and they could be getting way more than that. So if you, for your overtime hours you're working, got a sharp decrease, they all of a sudden as a company made a massive profit margin on you. And that is not what I call a win-win. For me, a win-win is for them to maintain a similar profit margin. They're still getting paid more money than they expected for work they didn't do. Like they didn't have to do more work for that. You should absolutely be getting paid at least the same amount you were getting paid for your other hours. And that is something I believe in very strongly. There's different ways companies can give this to you. Some might give you double time. Some might give you 2.5 times. Some might give you a shift bonus that's like a set amount, or have a whole different number for extra shifts. I don't really advocate or know or tell companies how to get it to you. I just know if you're only getting 1.5 of the taxable, and you're getting something like $30 an hour all of a sudden, it's not a win-win. And then the difference between overtime and extra time is these awkward hours, especially for nurse specialties. We don't have this in therapy. But in nurse specialties, you might work 36 hours a week, and that's your contract. And if you pick up an extra shift, there's these 4 awkward hours, 36 to 40, where it's not overtime. The state didn't say you have to get 1.5. And so now it's up to the company to just determine what are they going to pay you for those 4 hours. They don't have to give you stipends anymore. That was already done. They had already given that to you. So some companies, you've got to look for this, might pay you literally just your taxable rate for those 4 hours, $18 an hour, $20 an hour. Some companies will call it premium time or extra time. There's not a standardized name for this, but it's just knowing expectations ahead of time. What am I going to make for those 4 hours before 40 and up overtime kicks in? It's just knowing that, and remembering they're always at a minimum getting at least the bill rate for every hour you're working.
Yep. So I'm just going to share my screen again real quick and
Awesome.
show on Wonderly what you just said. So
Good.
On this screen, this hourly rate, $18 an hour. So now when you work overtime, in the state of California, they pay, or the state requires that the company pays time and a half after 8 hours, and then, or time and a half after 40 hours. So the time and a half of $18 an hour is $27 an hour. So now if you're working the whole, let me see, I'll scroll down a little bit. So, all right. So the total pay package, including the tax-free stipend we're looking at, is $55.81 an hour. So if you work an additional shift, what it's called in Wonderly is extra shift pay per hour. And that's $55 an hour in this particular pay package. So I think this is aligned with what you were just saying. And the other thing, it's important to figure this out up front and to communicate to the recruiters before you accept the pay package. It's also good to know that they may call it, 5 or 6 different things. So it's just, explaining what you're talking about, what you're asking for, and then they may call it something totally different. You know, if you first ask, hey, what's your extra shift pay? And then they have a giant question mark over their head, doesn't necessarily mean they don't do it. They just may not call it that. So just kind of, you know, feel around and see and you know, address it. And I'm sure that you guys can make it work.
Totally. And sometimes I think it's better just to ask them with the definition versus a name. So say, what do you pay me for the 4 hours, 36 to 40, if I pick up a shift? Because you're right. If you say extra time and the company calls it premium time, or maybe they don't have a standard set yet, so you have to negotiate with every contract, they'll know exactly what you're talking about. And then you can say, cool, thanks. And now what do I get paid for 40 hours on? Is that the same? Is it different? And make sure it's in writing, of course. But that is good. Sometimes I like to ask things by definition versus by words, because every company will be a little bit different, and recruiters might have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, they might really pay well, like they might pay how you want them to, but you just got to have a shared language.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, great. All right, insurance and how it impacts our pay. What do you think about this one, Jason?
Well, I think this is a very important topic. Insurance is incredibly expensive. Some companies have excellent insurance offerings that aren't that affordable, but I think that's pretty rare. Mostly it's expensive for the traveler and for the agency that's providing it. So it definitely can impact your pay. In that if you accept the insurance from the agency, you may not be paid your pay package might not be as high as if you didn't require insurance. So it's important to kind of take that into consideration when you're looking at the pay package and what your needs are.
Yes. So whenever they quote you a pay, whether it's gross, net, whatever it is, one of the things to ask them, and you could ask them on an anonymous chat on Wonderly, you can just ask them on the phone if it's someone else that's not through Wonderly, ask them, does this include insurance, or is this before I take insurance? Average is between $30 to $70 a week will be deducted from your pay for taking an insurance benefit. That's average. Some companies are outliers and are on either side of that, but you want to know so you're budgeting correctly, because that's actually, you know, a reasonable amount of money to know about. And then if you have your own insurance and you're going into a company not needing that benefit, it's good to ask them, will I get paid more because I'm not taking your insurance benefit? And so some companies will actually give you money to kind of help you pay for your own insurance, maybe $200, $250 a month, which really, that would cover all of my insurance that I have right now. So this is a great thing to just make sure, again, expectations are on the same page on if your pay will go down, if it'll stay the same, if it'll go up, depending on what your insurance needs are. And I will put in the chat over here, which I've already put in there, our different websites, so you can follow along with Jason on Wonderly. You just know the Nomadicare website. But on here, there's a video I did a while ago, maybe a few months ago, on options for 2018 in insurance, because this was a topic I didn't know that much about. And I dove really deep into what options we actually have when we're traveling different 50 states. To be able to self-insure, or should we not? And how do we go to urgent care, get prescriptions or mental health while we're traveling? And I learned so many things I did not know, changed the whole way I do my own insurance. So you can click on that, follow along to learn new things. I know Wonderly actually has an option coming out soon where you can get your own self-insurance through Wonderly. Jason will show that to you right now.
Yeah, so
really
if you go to our main page, wonderly.us, and you scroll down, it's actually available right away. So you can go to this section here under our partners. There's a company that we're working with called eHealth. You're able to go in and get a quote for an individual insurance plan. Now, this is a plan that you can obtain and take with you from one assignment to the next. Even if you have a gap, if you work a 13-week contracts and then you take 13 weeks off and then you work another 13-week contract, you can obtain this health insurance and carry it with you, for regardless of whether you're working or not, or if you're working with one company or more than one company. So we're really excited about it. It's another option to take into consideration when you're choosing what you'd like to do. And you can kind of get an idea of what it's going to cost and then compare that to what the benefits that the company offers and make a decision on that. But what's nice about it is it helps with the gaps. It helps with the, some companies offer first day health insurance, which is wonderful. That's amazing. And it's really impressive every time I hear that a company has that offering. However, if it doesn't necessarily cover you when you're not working on the contract. So this is kind of good to cover you if you have gaps and stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's awesome. I'm glad you guys are offering that. That's good.
Yeah.
And then there's also with Nomadicare, you can get a membership with Nomadicare and get access to telephone doctors. So this kind of replaces urgent care. Like if you have a cold, if you have a flu, a UTI, things that are just like can be prescribed over the phone, and you can call up any 50 states to a telephone doctor and they can send you a prescription to your pharmacy close by you. So that's not insurance, right? This is like a supplement to insurance. So it's cool because you guys could go to Wanderly, get insurance to cover you, do a membership at Nomadicare, which is just $15 a month with no deductions, no copays. It's completely free. It's membership to use unlimited to call up doctors as you need them for your family as well. And then with that, now all of a sudden you have a cheap way to get to an urgent care and get prescriptions and insurance to cover you and not have to depend on the company to switch in between, to worry about the gaps. What if this company has a better job, but do I have to switch my insurance? So I think that's really neat that we have such complementary offerings with insurance and better ways for you guys to be empowered while you travel. So that's exciting.
Yeah, it is. It really empowers you to feel free to kind of explore, try, another assignment or a different company, work with more than one recruiter. I think back in the day, getting a nurse on or a healthcare professional onto the healthcare insurance benefit plans of the agency was a way to really, for them to feel confident that they're retaining this nurse for the long period of time, because once they're on the benefits, then they're less inclined to go to a different company. So now we want you to feel free to explore, to go where the best opportunity is for you.
Totally. Absolutely agree. Okay. Holiday pay. Do you want it to take this one, Jason, or do you want me to talk about this?
Yeah. So, holiday pay, I think that a lot of companies offer this because it's a contract specific item that most contracts they have, hospitals will pay for the holiday if the person works. Usually it's only a small handful of holidays though. So if you're working on Christmas or New Year's, or then you typically get paid time and a half for that whole shift. And I think that's pretty standard. But some companies, just because they have holiday pay doesn't mean they're going to pay every holiday. And I think it's unique that the Catholic hospitals don't recognize Easter as a holiday. So you just have to be careful. So if you have it in mind that you're like, oh my gosh, it's a holiday, I'm going to work, I'm going to get paid, holiday pay, and the company offers holiday pay, you just want to clarify that the particular holiday is something you'll be getting paid for.
Yep, absolutely. And I know, at least in the therapy world, it's not a given. This is another thing that it's important to have expectations clear, because there's not a set way this is done. And many times it's up to the hospital how they will pay this. It's not as much something your recruiter can just give you or not give you. So for therapy, I can speak on this. Many times the hospital will say, you have a few options. You can work the holiday and opt into regular rate. You can take the day off with no penalty, but you won't get paid for that day at all. But the hospital is just saying no penalty. And then third, you could pick up a shift on a Saturday or Sunday to make up for it, still at regular rate. They're not wanting to pay holiday pay the majority of the time in my world. So this is just an expectation thing. So you're not going into it expecting to get paid more and not. So I still like it on pay packages to be a line item that the expectations. Because I think where a lot of us get hurt along the way is just finding things out as they happen versus just having it so clear ahead of time. just knowing how they pay holiday is the most important thing. But this isn't the easiest thing to negotiate because this is one of the ones that's out of the recruiter's hands more than moving money around in areas we've talked about before.
Yeah.
All right, paid time off, this thing that people are like, which companies have paid time off? It sounds so great. I know when I first started traveling, this was a good marketing tactic. I really was like, nice, because it's one of the biggest downsides to traveling is you get no paid time off. You get no sick days that are paid. You just get paid for when you work, and sometimes you want to get paid for days you don't work. So paid time off as an option, as a benefit, as part of the pay package. What are your thoughts on this, Jason?
Well, my thoughts are that when travel healthcare professionals are going on an assignment, they're looking to earn a lot of money and they're looking to work. So I think it's good to focus on that versus on getting paid for not working, because what they do in order to pay for that is they're going to be withholding money to kind of save up so that when you don't work a shift and they're not able to bill for those hours that you're not working, they're going to be able to pay you. So I think it's just better to get paid more and work more, work more hours and get paid more money. So I don't know. That's my opinion. What do you think?
Nice. Oh, you spoke it so well. Yeah, it's remember, there's no magic money tree. It's all coming from the bill rate. If they are paying you paid time off, think to yourself one step deeper. Wait, why do they have money left over to pay me paid time off? And the reason they'll have money left over is because they didn't pay you the full amount for each hour. Just like you said, they'll take a little bit out of your coffee cup and put it aside until you've accumulated enough hours where that second cup of coffee built up big enough to say you've earned a sick day, you've earned a paid day off. You worked for that money, and I would rather just have it up front, because what if I didn't accumulate enough to never earn that money? Well, cool, they got to keep those little bits and pieces. So I think it's marketing. Marketing probably works a little bit, but as you guys go to webinars who are self-educating, who are empowered, you can realize this is marketing, just like in the old days where they would say free housing and we thought it was really free, or free insurance and we thought it was really free. It's all marketing. So this is not typically a benefit that is anything more than just a new way to put our money somewhere else, and then we have to work to earn it. All right, and then bonuses fall right in alignment with the same exact concept, where if they're offering you a completion bonus, this is a way for them to, again, withhold money from the cup of coffee that was left over from our pay. They put it into a cup that says completion bonus. And so we have to work all of our hours in order to get that bonus. And it's taxed, whereas they could have taken that money and hopefully given us more stipends if it's not maxed out, given us more on our travel reimbursement, license reimbursement, scrubs. They're going to take part of our pay pot that could have been untaxed because of our unique industry and put it into a taxable amount that we have to wait till the end to get. No, thank you. This is only nice because it reduces risk for companies, because then they know if we end up walking on a contract, the contract ends early, they don't have to pay it to us, but it gave themselves a buffer. But it's not really a true win-win, because we could have gotten that money in a much better way. Now, there's one exception that is worth saying, so you don't get upset every time someone offers you a completion bonus. For one, remember, these are usually company things. So a recruiter might offer it to you because the company is having a promotion right then. So don't get too upset with them. You can just ask them, can you please just move that money back somewhere else that's non-taxed? And a lot of times, just like other things, they will work with you. They want you to work with them. But there is a reason that they could not be able to, and that is if the completion bonus is literally offered by the hospital and not offering as a marketing tactic from the company. If the hospital offers it, they're literally not releasing that money unless you complete your assignment. And if that's the case, cool. It's just bonus money. It really is, and it's from hospital, and that is different. That's when you really could take a completion bonus.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that it's great. You know, sometimes when it's the peak season and it's the demand super high, the hospital may be offering a special bonuses that go along with the contract in the hopes of attracting more travelers to their hospital. So it's good to kind of take those into consideration. And again, communication's key, to just open up that dialogue, ask questions, figure out what the situation is, and then, you know, negotiate it if you can, if you want to put it back into the pay package. But if not, if it's one of those hospital bonuses, heck, those aren't bad at the end of the day.
Yeah, I'll take a completion bonus if the hospital wants to give it to me. Sounds good.
Yep.
Oh, penalties. Okay, this is a really, really important thing to talk about. In our contracts, usually we don't see this in our pay package breakdown. In our contracts, we will see usually an hourly amount or a shift amount that we are going to be penalized if we call in sick, if we're calling off of a shift, or sometimes no matter what, whether they call us off or we get called off. If we are not going into work for whatever reason, they will penalize us per hour / per shift for missing that shift. Now, they do this because, remember, we always have to go back to how our whole industry works. The recruitment company gets paid $0 if we don't work an hour. They're only able to bill the hospital that bill rate for hours we work, not for hours we don't work. So if we don't go into work because we're sick, if we don't go into work because the census is low, anything like that, they're getting $0. And so they have to find a way to penalize us, so they're essentially not paying us to go into work. They're not allowed to not pay us our stipends, because our stipends should not be affected by the hours we work. Our housing should still cost the same whether we work 5 hours or 60 hours. Our house is a set amount. Our meals and incidentals we have to eat whether we go into work that week or we don't. So they're supposed to be paying us those stipends regardless. But just basic math shows us they cannot do that if we're not working. They're not going to be able to bill the hospital to have the money to cover our housing and our meals. And so in our contracts, they have to add this section that's penalties. What you're looking for here is not that they don't have any penalties at all, because you can put yourself in their shoes and see why they have to have this, but is the number they're putting in there something that is reasonable? And so what you want to look at is, are they actually penalizing you more than what you would be paid for that day? So you're not only not getting paid that day, but getting penalized on top of that, or are they penalizing you somewhere within a small margin of what you would have been paid for that day anyway? So it essentially does work out. You just didn't get paid that day. That's what you want to look for. What do you think, Jason?
Yeah, and so I wanted to show you my screen real quick. I know that you were just talking about, so there's also the cancellation policy. There's a section here within Wonderly. Now, this is an optional field that they complete on the pay package, the recruiters. But if you scroll down here, there's a section for cancellation policy. And in this case, it's 1 shift every 2 weeks. So it's a kind of a field that they're able to load that in and communicate it up front. Now, if you have any questions about what that is, I recommend using the anonymous chat, figuring out, hey, is this something, how's this going to apply to my assignment, and get it all figured out ahead of time up front. But yeah, I think it's important to know that. And like you said, especially if you have healthcare benefit insurance through the company, there's some cost associated with that if you're not working, and it's not, and it's something where it's not the company's fault or the facility's fault, that, they'll, you may have some to pay for some of that.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. And what Jason just showed you was great. The call, sometimes you'll see a guaranteed hours, the amount they're guaranteeing you'll work. But this is especially true in nursing. You also might have a line in the contract, and I love it when it's transparent in the pay packages before you're reading this contract, the call-off shift, which means we'll guarantee you'll work 36 hours a week, but we're able with no penalty to just call you off whole shifts, maybe 2 times out of 13 weeks or 3 times. That does add up. So it actually they go hand in hand. You can't really have guaranteed hours and hours they're allowed to call you off. You need to, when you're budgeting, see what is the minimum I'll make this contract if they call me off this entire 3 times, and make sure it still makes sense for your budget. So it's just good to not have it tucked away and hidden and surprised later when they call you off, but no upfront. And the cancellation policy is in the contract typically as well. I love it when people bring it out into light and show you on the pay breakdown. But typically this is 2 weeks or 4 weeks, and this is the amount of time a hospital or you, it's usually mutual, could put in a notice, and then they will let you work out 2 weeks or 4 weeks. Really important to know, especially when you're finding your own housing. So hopefully you're signing leases that give you a 2 week, that you're able to get out of a lease in a 2 week notice or a 4 week notice. Not always possible. I know housing is its own, could be its whole own webinar, but really important, because if you sign a 13-week contract with a housing and then you get canceled and have a 2 week notice, oh, that's one of our, knock on wood, things we really, really don't want in this industry.
Yep.
Yeah. And then I think the last thing that we have, and then whatever, if Jason, maybe you thought of something else along the way, but the last thing I want to talk about is just the importance of comparing pay, and I'll let you jump on that.
Yeah. So again, here, let me just put my screen back on. So it's incredibly important to know what you're getting paid up front, you know, and as you go through the process of considering an assignment, you can use Wanderly to kind of go through and run searches and decide, you know, based on what you're looking for. So let me just look for a job in I'll look in New York. So here's Geneva, New York. Let's take a look. An emergency room position. Go to full details. So basically, it's important to get a sense of, hey, what is fair? You look at the pay package. I mean, they're paying $22 an hour here. The stipends, they're paying $462, and you can see the GSA maximum for housing and meals and incidentals. I mean, we're essentially, with Wanderly, we've built a platform where you're able to look at all this information in a uniform way so that you feel comfortable engaging the recruiter and exploring this opportunity. We've put this little chat function right here so you can send a message directly to the recruiter and say, hey, I like this pay package. Tell me more. So I think that in the age of social media and kind of the direction that we're going with all the groups and communication and just kind of how open the industry and how tight-knit the industry has become, I think it's the information's kind of out there. It's just a matter of exploring it and asking questions and then feeling comfortable and confident when you have all that information, when you're able to compare the pay packages and understand what the different, you know, line items are, that you're comfortable and you find a good opportunity and you work with a reputable company and, you know, you can have a good experience and travel for years to come.
Yep, I completely agree. And I think comparing pay, Wanderly made it so easy for us, and we're grateful. We're really grateful for that. And then while they're still building the other sides of Wanderly, you know, the therapists that are watching radiology, definitely still compare pay, talking between different companies, looking online in forums. It's crucial for you feeling that confidence and empowerment, talking to recruiters, not to be mean to them, not to you know, put them up against the wall, just to feel confident that when you get a pay package, it's well made, it's win-win, it's in that right range for the region. So you're not going to have in the back of your head, oh, I have no idea. You will. You'll have a great idea if that was a right pay package. And we can compare it, as much as we hate comparing this industry to like used car salesmen. When you just think about that industry, though, even if you go to a car dealership that has the car you really want and the dealer is really nice, not at all like a used car salesman, you feel great about it, it doesn't mean you don't look in the Kelley Blue Book. It doesn't mean you don't Google online what the car is worth. It doesn't mean you don't go to the dealership down the street and also see what their offer is. So then you can go back to that first guy and feel great about it. Of course, no matter how nice someone is, you're not going to just trust them blindly, because that's not how you should do anything. So the Kelley Blue Book for us, since the bill rates do change and fluctuate, is this concept of just asking a few different companies. It doesn't even mean 10 or 15, like 2 or 3 gives you a great empowerment. Asking them, what's the range in this area? How many jobs are you seeing? And having them break down a pay package fully and comparing, even if it's 2 different jobs in the same region, what can I expect in this region? Whew, how much more relaxed are you now when you get offers? And the recruiters, it's going to hold them to a higher standard. And I think recruiters are great, but just human nature, if they know you're working with one other recruiter, they're going to try to give you a very competitive pay package because they know you are listening to other job offers. And that's a good thing. So comparing pay package is a great way to be savvy, to feel confident, so you can go travel without all these questions in the back of your head of, I don't know if I got taken advantage of. I don't know if I'll show up at this hospital and be the least paid. You don't have to worry about that if you just compare even just a little bit before you say yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Definitely. Awesome.
Okay, so I'm sure that helped a lot of you guys, and I'm so grateful, Jason. Thank you so much for coming on and spending this time with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, and so Jason, you can follow him on Facebook. They've got Wonderly on Facebook. I think you guys have an Instagram.
Yeah, we have an Instagram.
Right? Instagram. Yep. Jason's, I'm sure you can personal message Jason on Facebook, but then Wonderly.us is the website that nurses go to now. Start looking up your regions. And then for me, I have on YouTube, I have the Empowered Traveler Show where I educate and empower both sides, the recruiters and the travelers, how to do this win-win, how to do this dance together and feel great about it. I have the Empowered Healthcare Travelers Facebook group. That one is just for travelers only. And then, of course, I'm doing a lot of Facebook Lives and guides and stuff, even just on Facebook. And then Nomadicare.com, that is where you go to get your 2 recruiter matches of recruiters that have been vetted by me, gone through my interview process. They are breaking down pay the way we talked about it. They are huge advocates for doing and action the things that I teach. They're incredible recruiters. So if you are looking for a new recruiter, jump on there and I'll match you with hopefully a great team player that can stick with you for a while.
Awesome.
So that's us. And hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week.
Well, thanks so much, Laura. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too. Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.